What is going on, you guys? My name is Cody Thixton, and this is Interesting Podcast, coming to you guys on April 21st, 2023 for episode 48, where today we actually have some more professional wrestling news. Reason why Becky Lynch was absent from Monday Night Raw. WWE expects to lay off more employees. And a huge crowd has pre-registered for the AEW All-In pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium. We're going to break down everything and then discuss it all right here and right now on Interesting Podcast. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Let's get right into this. Now, the reason why Becky Lynch was absent from WWE Raw. Now, as always, this is being brought to you guys by the Spotlight News. Last week on Raw, Becky Lynch teamed with Trish Stratus to defend the women's tag team titles against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv pinned Stratus to win the titles. Following the match, the WWE Hall of Famer shocked the fans by attacking Becky. Before last night's Raw went on the air, Becky Lynch issued a statement on Twitter and stated that she won't be coming to Raw. After seeing the tweet, many fans questioned her status with WWE. Fightful Select reported that the former women's champion was scheduled to appear on the April 17th episode of Raw as of last Monday. However, she is now dealing with a foot injury. Therefore, the management decided to pull her from the show. They had this to say, and I quote, "We were told that she was originally scheduled to be at WWE Raw as of last Monday. But WWE sources have indicated that there are no issues to their knowledge between Becky Lynch and WWE. She's been dealing with a minor foot injury, which has been exacerbated recently." End quote. So, this is something that a lot of people have actually been talking about on social media, is about Becky Lynch, because she actually went out and blacked out her Twitter account just like Drew McIntyre did, and actually took out the WWE likeness from her bio and actually changed her name from Becky Lynch to Rebecca Quinn, which is her real name. And so people are speculating whether or not Becky Lynch was actually going to leave the WWE. And the same thing goes for Drew McIntyre. But Becky Lynch's contract doesn't expire until June of 2024. And Seth Rollins' contract, it was stated it's around the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, around there. So both of them, everybody knows, is together, and they have a kid. And their kid was actually born in 2020. And this was something that was actually reported before I even had a podcast, and something that I'm just noticing a lot of people aren't talking about that is actually really interesting. And that's just, eventually, this kid is going to have to go to like kindergarten and be out of school and whatnot. So one of them will probably want to step away. And I know that it was reported before. I don't exactly know the exact report where it was stated, but one of them said that one of them is going to be walking away to take care of their kid, while the other one is on the road and finishing up and doing whatever. Now, I could actually see it where Becky Lynch is the one that stays and maybe Seth Rollins goes. Because Becky Lynch, if you go through her career, she's a 2-time Raw Women's Champion, 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, Women's Tag Team Champion. Seth Rollins is a former NXT Champion, 2-time WWE Champion, 2-time Intercontinental Champion, 6-time Raw Tag Team Champion, 2-time US Champion, and 2-time Universal Champion. Seth Rollins is Mr. Two Times Everything. That's going to be my little thing for him. But if you look at their careers, Seth Rollins has actually done a lot more than Becky Lynch has been able to do. And that's not Becky Lynch's fault. That's just the whole women's division and them wanting to get this revolution going, so that we can actually get some decent women's wrestling on WWE television. So maybe Seth Rollins would be the one to step away and then give Becky Lynch that that opportunity to still be a major superstar in the women's division, because Becky Lynch will go down as one of the greats when it comes to women's wrestling, especially in not only professional wrestling but WWE. And the whole character of Becky Lynch, it's still not over. Like Seth Rollins, like I said, like if you go down his list, he's done everything. He's gone and headlined WrestleMania and been through major feuds or been in major factions like the Shield or plethora of other accomplishments, like winning Money in the Bank and just everything else. But Becky Lynch hasn't necessarily gotten all of those opportunities. Like, yes, she's won the Royal Rumble. Yes, she's main evented WrestleMania. But there's still a whole lot more that you can tell with the Becky Lynch character. And she could also really, really help the women's division get over for the future. And I feel like there are less women to do the deed like that than there are for men who can put over younger talent that where they wouldn't need a Seth Rollins. So they could actually utilize Becky Lynch a whole lot more. And going forward, I don't really know about very many rivalries that Seth Rollins needs to have. I don't really know any championships or, what does Seth Rollins have to accomplish anymore in WWE, But Becky Lynch, like, she still has that feud with Ronda Rousey from WrestleMania 35 that still hasn't been told yet, and like the story has actually been finished. It's been like almost 5 years now, and WWE will like to do that from time to time, or they'll hold off on a storyline for years and years and years until we finally get the payoff. So that still hasn't happened for Becky Lynch. So like at least there is that one where it's like, okay, so we do have that one, and then you think about her putting over the younger talent coming up from NXT for the women's division. It would be good, and I could definitely see where, or maybe to go back to, one of them stepping away and going and taking care of the kid. Maybe they could just bounce back and forth, and they could do kind of like what John Cena or like what the Legends do, because both of them are going to have a WWE Hall of Fame career. Like, they've already accomplished that just based off of who they are in the landscape of WWE. So maybe they could go back and forth and, we can get a Seth Rollins rivalry, and then, a few months later, Becky Lynch can come back, and then, be able to coordinate it that way. I'm not sure, but it is really, really interesting to think that one of them is going to have to step away eventually, especially with the kid being born in 2020. If kindergarten usually starts around 4 or 5, preschool, kindergarten, then that would be 2024, 2025, So I think that they're just kind of planting the seeds now so that it's not so abrupt and people are like, why? Freaking out. But I do find it interesting that a lot of people aren't talking about that. But then again, there are people in the IWC that, just aren't parents and aren't going to think about that. They're only going to be thinking about the wrestling aspect. Really, really interesting, man. Really interesting. So WWE expects to lay off more employees. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Earlier this month, Vince McMahon sold his company to Endeavor Group Holdings, Inc. In a press release, Endeavor announced that they will form a company worth $21 billion by merging WWE and UFC. The new company hasn't been named yet. Ari Emanuel will be the CEO of the new company, and Vince McMahon will be the executive chairman. WWE and UFC merger will affect many employees who work for both companies. Recently, Endeavor's COO Mark Shapiro stated in an interview that mass layoffs are imminent. On Light Shed Live, WWE CEO and President Nick Khan stated that the company expects to save $50 million by laying off employees. However, the WWE management has no plans to release on-screen superstars. They had this to say, and I quote, "If you look at what Endeavor was able to take out, cost-wise, from UFC in 2016 or shortly after the deal was done, we have the same expectation here. We think $50 million is a really conservative number. We have integration teams now. We're going to get those in shape. I think we'll have a better sense of it in a month or two. We're going to be pretty aggressive with them to make sure that for our shareholders and for our company, our organization is as lean and mean as possible. And we're going to rely on the Endeavor flywheel to make up the rest. The most important thing is to leave the product untouched. Untouched meaning, if Triple H and Kevin Dunn want to evolve it, great. But in terms of cutbacks there, that's not what we're looking to do." End quote. See, now this is something that another thing that we have been talking about on the podcast is that Vince McMahon always has this tendency to want to just lay off certain employees that he doesn't deem valuable. I apologize. So it's like I could actually see a whole list of superstars. Like I went onto WWE.com last night and looked at, their whole superstar list. And there was, a list of superstars that I came up with where I was like, I could actually see this coming out and coming to fruition, because Vince McMahon does not look at anything that has come up from NXT as valuable. As long as it was not built by Vince McMahon himself, the character, the entire run, the entire build, Vince McMahon is not going to take care of it unless it's like a really, really big deal. Then, he's going to do it. But as far as what we've seen over the last few years, he hasn't done that. So I could actually see it when it comes to superstars that are laid off. We could get Nikki Cross, Piper Niven, Butch, Angel Garza, Dexter Lumis, Io Sky, Johnny Gargano, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. I could see all of those being let go when WWE is actually going to be sitting there and laying off employees. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk with you guys about is, just like it said in the report, UFC and WWE are going to be coming up with a new company. And that is something that I find really, really weird, because they even said that they don't know what the name is going to be yet, which means that WWE could cease to exist. It would obviously completely change. And next year at WrestleMania, for WrestleMania 40, that would be the last of not WrestleMania per se, but a WWE WrestleMania, because after that is when I think that they will actually probably announce like the final split, and WrestleMania 40 will kind of be the final show of WWE, and like that's just really, really crazy to even try and fathom. WWE just completely changing their mold, or wanting to do like a new company and a new name, and like I think that's why like we will probably see a lot of superstars want to bail, because we don't know what the hell they are planning when it comes to a UFC and WWE merger. Like nobody really understands exactly how they're going to coordinate the whole show. So it's just going to be really freaking interesting to try and gather all of this information, and I will actually keep you guys posted on if we actually do get any teasers on any names potentially for the new company, or any insight on how they want to run the company, or it's going to be a lot to discuss, and I'm excited, I'm intrigued, I'm a little sad, and it's just something we got to live with, man. Freaking interesting. A huge crowd has pre-registered for AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. Last week, AEW President Tony Khan announced that they will be holding All In on Sunday, August 27th at Wembley Stadium in London, England. This will be the first time that AEW show taking place in the United Kingdom. Also the first wrestling event to take place from Wembley Stadium since the 1992 SummerSlam. PW Insider reported that 50,000 fans have been registered for pre-sale codes so far. The tickets for All In will go on sale Friday, May 5th. They had this to say, and I quote, "In speaking with multiple sources today, PWInsider.com has learned that AEW has exceeded 50,000 pre-sale registration for the All In London at Wembley Stadium event." End quote. As of this writing, the company hasn't announced any matches for the show. However, the rumored CM Punk return will help to fill the stadium. The 2021 AEW Grand Slam took place at the Arthur Ashe Stadium with 20,177 fans, which was the highest attendance record in the company. Really interesting. Now, this is going to be a really, really big event. And I have actually slowly started to watch AEW more and more, because I did usually just watch mostly WWE, and I didn't really dabble into AEW a whole lot. But over the last few weeks, I've been watching AEW Dynamite and kind of trying to digest all of the, I guess, not new characters, but how they're flowing and what storylines they have going on and who's doing what and who's with who, and just gathering up all of this information. But as far as all of their in-ring work or their ability to get me intrigued, seeing Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, or everything going on with Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy and MJF, and just everything going on in AEW has actually been really interesting over the last few weeks. And on Twitter, this was actually really cool, because at AEW All In, like they said, with Punk's return looming, that's going to help build for ticket sales when it comes to actually selling out this event. And if you are following Chris Jericho on Twitter, this was about 5 days ago, but this dude had tweeted out to Chris Jericho, and I'll actually pull it up right here. He had this to say, and I quote, "Chris Jericho, at I Am Jericho, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've always been willing to work with everyone, and you always do what's best for business. People are foolish to suggest otherwise." End quote. Chris Jericho then replied and said this, and I quote, "Not everyone," end quote. And then that same day, he got a picture that I will actually link up right here, and this is what he said after that. And after this was posted, and he retweeted it. He said, and I quote, "#, or I don't play games," end quote. #AEW, #Chris Jericho. See, I don't know, it's just really interesting, because Chris Jericho, he knows kind of how to play the fans. He knows how to kind of tease us a little bit. And obviously this is going to lead to their program on AEW television. And I could actually see this is going to be a match at AEW All In, where we're going to get Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. And anything that Chris Jericho is in, he's gold. Chris Jericho is one of the greatest of all time. And Tony Khan definitely does have a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now, because not only is this AEW's first show in the United Kingdom, it's a big show, and it's going to be held at Wembley Stadium. So now that we have confirmation that at least 50,000 people have pre-registered, that could mean that we could get upwards of 50, 60,000 people in Wembley Stadium. And I think the capacity for Wembley is like 90,000. So let's say 30,000 is taken away for the stage and the ramp and the ring and whatnot. That's still a really, really good crowd. Like, this is going to be equivalent to like a WrestleMania. Because if you understand how AEW is trying to build it, that's exactly how it feels. It feels like a WrestleMania. It's going to be really, really good, and I will actually be here live after the show, probably with my co-host Antonia, where we will actually be reviewing AEW All In after their Wembley show in the United Kingdom. It's going to be really, really good. But thank you guys so very much for joining me here on April 21st, 2023 for episode 48 for some more professional wrestling news. I really, really do appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And just to remind you guys and let you guys know, this Sunday, April 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Interesting Podcast will be interviewing the Cerealian star, a rising star coming out of Portland, Oregon, Jaden, live on YouTube and Facebook. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you guys get notified when we go live, because you guys are not going to want to miss this podcast. It's going to be really, really good. But I will actually be back tomorrow, I apologize, with my co-host Antonio to discuss some more pro wrestling topics. I'll catch you guys later.